Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, the Modi government has just finished 100 days in its second term. What has the track record been? Of course, it has delivered a lot on the narrative of nationalism. It has taken a bold step in Kashmir. But what about the economy? Are these events just to distract from the real picture, or is there a game plan in place? We are here to discuss the governance agenda and the economic track record of the Modi government. Joining me is Shekhar Iyer. He is a political commentator and former editor. Kalyani Shankar, she's an author, political commentator and columnist. Radhika Ramaseshan, she's a consulting editor with Business Standard and a columnist. M.K. Venu, he's the founding editor of the Wire.in. Venu, the economy is, I think, where all the problems really are. But is the government sticking to its narrative, or is Kashmir a distraction? People are forgetting about the economy and focusing on Kashmir, or is jobs a real issue?
Well, seeing what has happened in 100 days, I get the feeling, the manner in which the budget came, the manner in which, generally I get the sense that economy is not a priority for this government, for both Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah. Keeping Indian society, the Indian population in a kind of permanent nationalist fervor is the agenda. And the manner in which in these 100 days, one after the other, 370 or whatever, now talking about NRC all over the country.
Yes.
It's all nationalist fervor with an underlying majoritarian kind of consolidation. In this, I don't think economy really has a place. Now, this reminds me of, when I covered the Rath Yatra, I think Shekhar was also there through Bihar. I remember a slogan which Sangh Parivar used to, repeatedly say, which is "Aadhi roti khayenge, mandir yahi banayenge." I saw a repeat of that. This slogan never changed. They really hold on to slogans. "Aadhi roti khayenge, Kashmir ko bachayenge," in the context of 370. It could be "Aadhi roti khayenge, NRC ko layenge." So this "Aadhi roti" came back to me and said, so this really, if translated into economy, this means GDP can halve. That is not an issue for us. We need to keep the consolidation going. So actually GDP has halved from 8% is down to 5, but actually many economists would say it's 4. In fact, Shankaracharya, who's a very objective economist, worked with both UP and NDA, actually says it's at 4%. So I think Aadhi roti can be interpreted as income may be halved, consumption may be halved, which is also happening. So we are in a kind of deep crisis. And even economic reality, truth, is also timed with elections. Like employment data was denied before the elections. Smriti Irani called it fake news. The truth then was revealed after election. So now we have more elections coming. So I don't know how many more economic truths will be linked to electoral events. So.
But what Venu said, Radhika, despite the economy, he's kept the nationalist fervor alive. He's kept his popularity intact. So full marks for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost sure that the 3 elections that are coming will be won by the BJP simply because the opposition is in a bad way. If the opposition was even halfway to putting up a fight in one of the 3 states, the BJP would have had competition. Having said that, I don't think Mr. Modi can be very sanguine about the state of the economy because let's not forget, he gave these very attractive slogans in his first term: Skill India, Make in India, Mudra Loan, entrepreneurship. Everything seems to be going for a toss, because, this has hit the informal economy the most. And as Murli Manohar Joshi is very fond of saying, that the country's economy rests on the back of the informal sector. So you have people who have set up their chaat stalls and small businesses and so on. They are all in deep trouble. I mean, you just take a straw poll in your area and they will tell you that, the consumption has fallen and things are not as robust as they used to be. So sooner than later, nationalist fervor is all right, 370 and NRC and the rest of it. Sooner or later, he will have to wrap his head around the state of the economy and the job losses. I mean, every day, Zomato has laid off about 600, automobile sectors in a bad way, somebody else is laying off. These things are really the reality. They are being taken cognizance of by the lower middle class and the working class. I mean, these are going to be hit or have already been hit the hardest. They all swung to the BJP in the last 2 or 3 elections. I mean, a big constituency of the BJP, because that was Mr. Modi's great achievement, that he's taken away this constituency from the Congress. So if the economy is going to hit them the most, then I do not think it's very good news for the BJP. And sooner or later, Nirmala Sitharaman and Modi and Amit Shah will have to wrap their heads around it.
Kalyani, taking off from what Radhika said, yes, the economy is bad, the middle class is upset, but they were upset 4 years ago, year ago, not even a year ago in this election also. Yet they voted for Modi, and he's continuing to win elections.
You see, the paradox of voters today is whether to look for the political side of Modi or the economic side of Modi. So on the balance, they probably must have thought that let's vote for him because Balakot had happened, so many. The most important thing is there was no alternative. So they were looking at Rahul Gandhi, how can we vote for him? The Congress is not an alternative. So opposition doesn't have anybody else of the stature of Modi. So all these made people vote for Modi. But that doesn't mean that people are not feeling the pinch. Today you go to the shop to buy vegetable, even as a housewife I'm talking about, you feel the pinch of it. So economy, as Radhika said, I agree that sooner or later Modi will have to do something about it, and he's been very fond of rubbing shoulders with the world leaders. Unless economy is there, unless you have the market access, you have other things, nobody is going to make you sit with them on the rub shoulders, because they are looking to India because of the economic cloud. 25 years ago, if you look back, India was not mentioned in any of the newspapers. I was working in Washington. I used to look for the India news. There was nothing anywhere. India was not mentioned at all. Today, you open the newspaper, New York Times, every day there is at least one small snippet or one small mention of India. So that's where we have come because of the global economic cloud, and that cloud has to come back. If it has to come back, Modi has to do something about it. And now coming back to the political side of it, if you look back, I think he has done very well for the BJP by implementing its core agenda, like Article 370, then like triple talaq. Then they might even go for, if the court favors them, they might even go for Ram Mandir if it comes by October, November. So from the party side of it is done extremely well. That's why the people are very, very happy in the BJP. But other parties are not able to even counter him on these things. That is a success of Modi. And when he started, the other thing which I see in this 100 days is the pace of reforms and the pace with which the government is working. Within 100 days to do so many things, 30 legislations have been passed by Parliament. Where Rajya Sabha BJP is a minority, now he's converted into a kind of majority, though they don't have the majority, by dividing the opposition and getting them to support him for triple talaq or even a constitution amendment bill like Article 370. He was able to get the support. This is something amazing. So I would say that the divided opposition is his
biggest plus point. But is that enough, Shekhar, this divided opposition? There's also a lot for what Modi is doing also himself, managing or whatever you want to call it.
You see, I think there are two ways of way people are looking at. See, those who did not like Modi, those who did not like his policies, those who did not like the mandate of 2014 are even more upset with the mandate of 2019. So they do not see any good in the coming months or coming years, and they have strong views about it. There are another set of people who have a lot of faith in what his government is doing, but they are also equally, I would say, filled with a lot of anxiety about the economy, which remains the most serious challenge. Modi's problem is not political, because all 370, and these are things that were there in the manifesto. In fact, nothing that Modi has done since he started his second term is by itself surprise, because it's there in the document. In fact, the way they worked out first 100 days, 200 days, is all there. There is nothing like, when Vajpayee ji went for the Pokhran test. It was right there in the manifesto, but nobody used to take manifesto seriously then. But this time, everybody knows these things are there. So that's a political part. But I think the challenge is the economy. And there are various reasons for it. Rather, I would wait for another 100 days, because the right time would be to take a look at when 200 days are completed. Because a lot of things are on the pipeline. Even with the case of economy, a lot of dosages are being given, sector-wise things are being taken up. So I think the right time would be when this government completes 200 days. By then it would have faced whatever the aftermath of whatever is happening or not happened in all these elections, because economy will be a dominating theme. And just because there is no alternative to BJP does not mean there is not a political challenge. There will be. Now, question is, how is BJP and the Prime Minister going to overcome this? If the economy starts showing of some revival, say by end of 200 days, maybe the rest of the journey may become little easier for the government and much more easier for the people. But right now, there is no denying of the fact, either in the government or in the party or by the Prime Minister or his team or among people, that the biggest challenge is the economy.
And yet, you know, he's still winning elections. And when I talk to a BJP leader, it's take off from your the slogan that you just said. They said emotions win elections, economy doesn't. So, hum emotions sahi rakhenge to jeette rahenge.
Yeah, Yogendra Yadav, who participated and facilitated so many farmers' agitations in the city, capital city, before the election. There were many. After the elections, in sheer disappointment, he said, they all came here, farmers in distress, negative wage growth, income growth, and then when they went back to the voting booth, they voted as Hindus.
So at the end of the day.
This is what Yogendra Yadav said, you know. So my sense is that Mr. Modi has huge political capital.
Yeah.
It's up to him now how to use that. Whether he wants to spend it entirely on, one after the other, if you have events like you had 370, if you do a NRC for the entire country, there'll be a lot of disruption, there'll be a lot of, as Shekhar said, more anxiety. Now, how much focus are they going to give to the economy? The details of, there is a problem with talent also in this government. I sometimes wish that there were people like Manmohan Singh, Narasimha Rao type of people, looking at the details of the economy, you know. So, globally things are going from bad to worse, right? The US, UK is in recession, Germany is in recession after, after reviving post 2008 global meltdown. Now, it has to be a domestically driven strategy now, because globally we are not getting any help. So, the only program that this government has is 100 lakh crore worth of infrastructure investment over 5 years, which translates to 20 lakh crore per year. I don't see any details of that. Where will you get the money? They said some sovereign bond issue, now they backed off because there's a lot of protest over stuff. Now, where do you get the necessary savings and investment? Because economic growth is based on savings and investment, and savings have collapsed. Savings have down by 4-5 percentage points in the last 6-7 years. So I don't see the details. So therefore, sometimes I wish there were people much more focused on details of policy.
But details are not there, but distractions are there, a whole lot of it. So do you see a political challenge to Modi? You know, only one who can defeat Modi is Modi.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do not see a political challenge. And you said that the only person who can defeat Modi is Modi. Modi will never allow himself to be defeated. We saw it in Gujarat. Before every election, I know my friends from Delhi would go and say, oh, the BJP is losing. Many of them would say. And, that never ever happened. So Modi, he believes in his own invincibility, and he makes sure that he is invincible. And of course, he's got Mr. Amit Shah by his side. If Congress must be wishing that they had an Amit Shah in their midst. Yeah, I know a lot of Congresses may even go for the jugular if I say that, but he's got that. So therefore, both of them are extremely political individuals. For them, it's politics, 24 hours. They do not allow themselves to get distracted by anything. I mean, Modi has this formula. He is a political animal, but he will also sort of use these very catchy slogans like single plastic use, something which is fashionable and catches the imagination of the middle class. So if you call that a distraction, well, it's probably his style of conducting himself. But however, I agree with Shekhar, 370, abrogation, NRC, etc. are not distractions. They are enshrined in the BJP's manifestos for God knows how many, or even triple talaq for how many decades. The only thing is that he has faithfully implemented so that the RSS is very happy with the way the government is conducting itself. You remember, if you recall, RSS had huge problems with Mr. Vajpayee because Mr. Vajpayee was not half as sure-footed as Mr. Modi. Whereas Modi is very sure-footed. He is absolutely clear in his mind on what he wants to achieve, but the shadow of the economy is looming very large. And I agree with Venu that, you know, they need some talent, they need expertise to get out of this quagmire. Maybe we should give them some more time. But
one more thing, you know, I just want to add, there's something called timing, you know. While it is true, I agree with Shekhar that all these things are mentioned in the manifesto. But how do you time them, you know? Like, for instance, demonetization and GST, the timing went horribly wrong, you know. And now Amitabh Kant, their main Niti Aayog CEO, the main communicator for the government, says that I think we did too much structural reforms, you know. Citing demonetization and this,
and GST.
So this time politically, if you do 370, NRC, all to get one after the other, there is a distraction. While it is true that it's part of the manifesto, there will be a huge disruption in society. You know? It takes away from and Kashmir, the way this nuclear saber rattling is happening, you know, from both sides. You know, foreign investors view this whole region from the prism of Pakistan and nuclear, this thing, you know, possible.
Stability,
These are very...
No, precisely, you see, that is what I'm saying. No, see, that timing, because there are many people who say this was that if you had to do something on 370, this was the time. Given the kind of situation where it is Afghanistan is headed, that churning within Pakistan.
Okay.
And look at the neighborhood and the issues which the problem between China and America's own heading for an election here. If you had to do it, you had to do it today. Otherwise, you could have never attempted 370 again, because the kind of situation Pakistan faces, its own economic crisis, its own political leadership crisis, and the state of the military in Pakistan. So there is a view that if 370 had to be done ever, it had to be done now.
Rather than later. Well, as you know, Modi is master of timing and master of the political narrative. We'll take a break. After a break, we're going to come back and continue this discussion. Hello and welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are here discussing Prime Minister Modi's 100 days in his second stint of power. Kalyani, you wanted to come in?
Yes, I wanted to continue from where he left.
Where you left.
I would look at it this way. Next to economy, the biggest challenge Modi will face is on Kashmir. Not only within internal of course, people in the south, they have no idea what goes on in Kashmir. So that way it doesn't matter. Within
and we
India.
have 4 panelists of the south over here.
So it's okay for him. But internationally, the diplomat, he has personally taken lead in briefing Putin and then Trump and all the world leaders in G20 and G7, all that. He sent people, Jaishankar has been going everywhere. But still, you see the stories coming from the West is not positive for Modi. You know, most of them are in a kind of negative, and so now he will have to ensure that this is okay. And the second thing is that you might announce 50,000 crores of rupees for Kashmir, redevelopment, all that. But all the money which has been allocated for Kashmir all these years, where has the money gone? It's done
with the Kashmirs, okay.
No, for him it is weighing the international ramifications with the domestic implications. And I think that they are convinced that this whole Kashmir issue, it's so highly polarizing, or even NRC. NRC has gone a bit wrong in Assam. They have the potential to polarize the polity. They've probably polarized the polity. So in that sense, I would imagine that he will not be breaking his head over what comes on NYT or Washington Post or whatever. No doubt he sent Jaishankar. Jaishankar has given an interview to a Belgian paper. I mean, I read the text. It was not very convincing, his answers, but he didn't even seem to be on a mission to convince the interviewers that this is what we are doing. I mean, to sort of deconstruct the whole thing and explain, it was a very half-hearted kind of an interview, if you ask me.
Okay.
So, the international bit, I'm not very sure about how much of their heart they're going to put into it. For them, it is domestic. And for them, it is, what matters is how the demography of J&K is going to change and what kind of possible dividends it could bring to the BJP. I think they're focused on that.
Let me get Shekhar in once again. Also, is Modi not so worried about what the international media says, or is he worried? Because, you know, the human rights thing, two things are coming up. One is Kashmir and Assam. That's a big...
Together.
No,
Together.
See, I don't think it would be correct to say he's not worried or he would not bother. But the whole thing is, the objective that the party or the government has in mind, and the current phase that they have to go through, because I would say Mr. Modi will draw more lessons from the way Mr. Narasimha Rao handled Punjab. There are some parallels, the problems are different. See, when Punjab was, the militancy wanted to speak, because post when Narasimha Rao took over, you saw a situation where our military was telling the government that we need to fix this problem in Punjab. And reams were written about alienation of the Sikhs. Reams were written. And because I had covered the Punjab militancy, that was a period when Narasimha Rao decided that you had to go and fix it on the ground. And you remember how operations like night domination started. And that was a very difficult decision. The restrictions that you are seeing in Jammu Kashmir today was done in Punjab. There were curfews, there were nakabandis, what not happened. I remember entering Amritsar city in a broad daylight as if in a curfew-like situation. See, we have gone through that phase. But finally, the way Narasimha Rao took the call and did it in Punjab. And today, nobody is writing about Sikh alienation. So similarly, that's why I said everything depends on how things pan out in the next 6 months.
Okay.
Because this very things, because ultimately, a situation has been brought about in Jammu Kashmir which is now irreversible. Nobody is going to reverse it. You are already seeing Congress leaders like Shashi Tharoor now nuancing the Congress approach.
Correct.
Even on 370. So I think there will be a lot of things, because finally what will happen is, what happens 6 months hence? What happens a year hence? If the things go bad, then I think nobody can help Modi, BJP or anyone. And in that 370 or even it will not help, because I personally feel it's the economy which is the most challenging for Modi. So if the economy can really revive, and post whatever has happened, the GST has come, and people are either to have been going through the system where everything, the norm was, you did lot on the slide, lot or not on the books. So the whole culture has changed. And that is forcing a lot of inconvenience. So therefore, if it works, it's going to work very well. And if it doesn't work, then it's not bad news just for Modi or the BJP. It's a bad news for a lot of us. And I hope not.
So I wanted to remind you about what Vajpayee, you were covering those days, I'm very sure of it, Pokhran. Vajpayee decided, nobody expected at the time, that was a surprise element. Pramod Mahajan used to say only 3 people, or 4 people knew, including Kalam. So when that was the case, and it so happened that I was in the US on that particular day, how the people of Indian origin were saying, you have nothing to eat, why do you go for Pokhran, this and that. There was so much antagonism about the Pokhran thing. But within 2 years, and I remember Bijesh Mishra saying that they had sent people to different countries to explain how it happened, what was the thing, all that. He had prepared the ground. In this case, it's not happening as fast as it should in the case of Modi, so he should speed it up. And the second thing is, within 2 years, Clinton was coming here as a presidential visit, which I don't think that, I just could not believe that could happen. But within 2 years, they were able to normalize the thing, all because of, as all these people say, economy. Because we were doing well,
Economy,
so they were coming.
Economy, I think a reasonably liberal and open economy and a pluralist democracy. These are 2 pillars on which the world has been, as Kalyani said, has been engaging with India, and also, posing India as a counter to China in this region. I think both these are under threat today, because we are in a situation today where, look at the dichotomy. Mr. Modi comes back with a huge majority, unprecedented mandate, and in spite of that, and world leaders in Southeast Asia are inviting Modi to come and become part and lead the RCEP, negotiations. RCEP is the largest free trade area, comprising 40% of the world population, 35% of world GDP. China and India are supposed to be the 2 big pillars. But today, after Piyush Goyal, he's left for negotiation. After conducting a feedback thing from both agriculture and industry, his feedback is Indian industry is so depressed, they're not they're just not in a situation to participate or be part of RCEP. So there's an economic reality, there's a political reality. People are telling Mr. Modi, you're with such a big mandate, you can do anything now, but ground level situation is not saying something totally different. And we have a situation today where biscuits,
Parle, yeah.
biscuit sales. I have never seen my coverage.
But then, see, do you take sugar biscuits today?
No, I'm not.
See, I mean, that cannot be a barometer. Where the industry has not, people have gone in for all those multi-fiber biscuits. Those companies are doing well. Where the company has not reformed, let us not take.
No. Parle biscuits were consumed in the rural areas in big time. No, I don't think rural areas are the important. They have learned to distinguish between digestive.
I'll tell you. Yeah, see, there are a lot of things wrong with the economy, but let's not use the Parle example because there have been a lot of counter articles to that.
Because it's a very big factory that was shut down. Lots of people have lost jobs.
RBI has does a consumer confidence survey regularly. It has come out with a survey which has been reported in the media just recently, which says that both rural wages after demand has been showing real negative growth. Now urban wages are also stagnant, and Shekhar can ask.
No, I am not disputing the problems of the economy.
Media. You ask any industry and ask about wage increase.
I am not questioning
wage stagnation.
Venu, I am not one of those living in some world that economy is the problem. I have been saying from the minute we started this debate.
Right.
But the question is, sometimes the dipsticks we use may not be exact indicators because problems could be worse than that.
No, but every day, what are the headlines every day, including today? Automobile industry, so many, shutdowns or lockdowns and job losses. I mean, you're hearing about job losses.
At this
Dealers
rate,
are
300 dealers,
It is.
That's a very grim note, actually. In fact, which is why perhaps the 100-day celebrations weren't as high profile as I guess.
I think we should celebrate actually.
No.
This thing,
I would say hits are more than misses.
Hits are more than misses. Well, that's a good last word to end
But
on.
I don't want to be a doomsday prophet because I still have hope that we have the
It's only 100 days after all. I mean, let's not treat these milestones more seriously than they need
famously, to. Gramsci famously said the pessimism of the intellect should be accompanied by the optimism of will. So we are all optimistic, but the pessimism of the intellect should be kept intact.
And we're all journalists, so nobody's going to let me have the last word. So I'm quickly wrapping it up now. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.